that saved Debra's and Ray's marriage, and I think it's in any marriage, is you know that your spouse is well-meaning ultimately.
Everybody Loves Raymond was more than just a funny TV show. It became one of the most beloved sitcoms in television history. But behind all the laughs, something deeper was happening. Today, actress Patricia Heaton, who played Debra Barone, has finally opened up about what life was really like on set. Her words reveal a mix of happy memories, tough challenges, and secrets that fans never knew during the show's original run. Let's go back in time and explore what really happened during those 9 amazing seasons, starting with the title. That almost didn't happen. When Everybody Loves Raymond was first being developed, actor Ray Romano wasn't sure he liked the title. It came from a real-life comment made by Ray's brother, who worked as a police officer in New York City. One day after a stressful day at work, he jokingly said, "I go to work and people shoot at me." Ray goes to work and everyone loves him. The network, CBS, thought it was catchy and decided to use it as a working title. Even though Ray Romano felt unsure about it at first, worrying it might sound arrogant, he eventually accepted. As the show became more popular and even won awards, the title made more sense. It was funny, memorable, and eventually became a cultural phrase. It was even spoofed by the show Everybody Hates Chris, showing just how famous it had become. The idea behind the show was based on Ray Romano's real life. Many of the stories were taken directly from arguments he had with his own wife. And even the kids on the show were based on his children. In the pilot episode, the Barone children were named after his real kids, Alexandra, Gregory, and Matthew. But soon after, Ray got worried that the show was too close to his personal life. To create some distance between fiction and reality, the twins' names were changed to Michael and Jeffrey. Alexandra's name stayed the same. These changes helped the writers have more freedom when building the story. Even the child actors went through changes. In the pilot, the twins were played by Justin and Drew Ferrer. But as time went on, they started to grow quickly, and the producers decided to replace them. That's when Sawyer and Sullivan Sweeten were brought in, real-life twin brothers. Of Madeline Sweeten, who played Ally, they stayed with the show for the rest of its run. Their presence added a sense of real family, even though the children weren't always the main focus. The chemistry among the Barone family felt so real. Because of these carefully chosen cast members, Patricia Heaton had her own quiet challenges during this time. While playing Debra, the strong, sarcastic, and smart wife, she was also dealing with 2 real pregnancies. Since the writers didn't include her pregnancies in the storyline, the production team had to find ways to hide them. Loose clothing, large props, and clever camera angles. It was done so smoothly that most viewers never even noticed. This teamwork showed how much effort the crew and cast put into making the show run smoothly. But that's not all Patricia Heaton faced. She also dealt with real-life stress outside of filming. In 2009, long after the show ended, she was sued by her former assistant, Jennifer Lee. The assistant claimed she wasn't paid properly for extra work hours, breaking California's labor laws. The case was not talked about much in public, and Heaton didn't give many details. Still, it was a reminder that celebrities, no matter how famous, are not above the law. They have to follow the same rules as everyone else. Patricia was also very open about her political beliefs, which sometimes caused tension on set. She was known to have conservative views, which were different from co-star Peter Boyle, who leaned liberal. Even though they disagreed on many topics, they stayed respectful toward each other. They often joked about their differences instead of arguing seriously. In fact, Patricia deeply respected Peter Boyle. She even talked about how he supported her during difficult moments in her life, especially when she was working on staying sober. Their connection off-screen helped bring more heart and depth to their on-screen relationship as husband and wife. There's also a beautiful tribute to Patricia's father, Chuck Heaton, in the show. He was a well-known journalist, and the writers added a small Easter egg just for her. In one episode, Debra talks about a man named Chuck Heaton, which was a nod to her real-life dad. These little details made the show feel even more personal and showed how much the cast and writers cared about each other. Brad Garrett's struggles, salary disputes, and tensions on set while Everybody Loves Raymond often made people laugh at. the small problems of family life, the cast was dealing with much bigger issues behind the scenes. One of the most powerful and emotional stories comes from Brad Garrett, who played Ray's older brother, Robert Barone. On the outside, Robert was awkward, jealous, and often very funny. But behind the scenes, Brad Garrett was hiding a secret that many fans never knew. He was struggling with alcoholism. Brad later revealed that during the early days of filming, he was what's called a high-functioning alcoholic. This means that even though he was drinking a lot, he could still perform and hide his addiction from others. He said he was often under the influence while acting, but managed to hide it well. As the season went on, he realized that the drinking was taking a toll on his health, his work, and his relationships. He made a brave choice to quit drinking and focus on getting better. This was a huge turning point for him, and he proved that he cared deeply about the show and his future. The challenges didn't stop there. As the show became more successful, it brought financial tension among the cast. In 2003, Ray Romano became the highest-paid actor on television, earning $1.8 million per episode, not including extra money from reruns and syndication. But Brad Garrett discovered that he was making only about $160,000 per episode. He was shocked and upset by the huge pay gap. Feeling that the cast should be treated more equally, he walked off the set in protest. Some of his fellow cast members supported him and joined in. Thankfully, after some time and discussions, they were able to work out a better deal. The cast returned, and the show continued. These financial disputes showed that even in a fun-loving sitcom, things behind the scenes could get stressful. Money, fame, and recognition can change relationships. But it also showed that the cast had the courage to stand up for what they believed was fair. In the end, they came back stronger and more united. Not all disagreements were about money. Sometimes tensions came from personal beliefs. As mentioned earlier, Patricia Heaton had strong conservative values. Her co-star Peter Boyle was more liberal. In many Hollywood sets, this kind of political difference can lead to serious arguments. But on the Everybody Loves Raymond set, Patricia and Peter chose to respect each other instead. They turned their differences into jokes and kept the mood light. Patricia was especially touched by Peter's kindness and support when she was facing her own emotional battles. When Peter passed away in 2006, Patricia attended his funeral and spoke about his friendship and strength. Speaking of Peter Boyle, his own story is both inspiring and heartbreaking. He was perfect in the role of Frank Barone, grumpy, loud, and funny. But in real life, Peter was kind, thoughtful, and gentle. The story of how he got the part is both funny and amazing. When he went to meet Ray Romano and Phil Rosenthal, the creator of the show, he was in a terrible mood. His family had a bad experience getting to the studio that day, trouble with parking, confusion at the gates, and a lot of stress. By the time Peter arrived, he was grumpy and irritated. But that attitude helped him land the role, they thought. His real frustration fit the character of Frank perfectly. Sadly, in 2002, Peter Boyle was diagnosed with cancer. He decided to keep his condition a secret from most of the cast and crew. He told only a few close friends, including Doris Roberts, who played his on-screen wife. Peter asked her if he should tell everyone. She advised him not to. She said they would treat him differently, and he didn't want pity. Instead, she told him to focus on the work and let them keep writing strong episodes for Frank. Peter took that advice seriously and continued working. Through the illness with grace and strength, he appeared in the final episodes of the show and even acted in one more film, All Roads Lead Home, which was released after the show ended. He passed away in 2006 due to complications from cancer and heart disease. Peter Boyle left behind a powerful legacy, not just as Frank Barone, but as a respected actor and kind man. Writing from real life, end of the show, and Patricia's reflections, one of the things that made Everybody Loves Raymond feel so real was the fact that it often was real. Many of the show's funniest and most touching moments were taken directly from real life. Ray Romano's own experiences as a husband and father helped shape many episodes. But he wasn't the only one bringing real stories to the table. The show's creator, Phil Rosenthal, also used arguments with his own wife as material for the show. One famous example was about a can opener. They had a silly fight over how to use it, and Rosenthal turned it into a full episode. This kind of honesty made the show feel familiar to viewers everywhere because they saw their own lives on screen. The writers were always looking for fresh material, but they knew they didn't want to force it. Eventually, after 9 seasons, they realized they had used up the best stories from their lives. Rosenthal even joked that the only way to keep the show going was for the writers to go home and fight with their spouses more. Rather than let the show decline in quality, they made the brave choice to end it while it was still loved by audiences. The final episode aired in 2005 and was watched by millions. The ending was emotional, both for the fans and the cast. After working together for nearly a decade, they had become like a real family. Patricia Heaton later said that saying goodbye to the show was one of the hardest moments in her career. She felt grateful for the experience, the friendships, and the chance to play such a strong, funny character. Debra Barone wasn't just a role. She was part of Patricia's life journey. In the years after the show ended, Patricia has continued to act in other projects. But she has also used her voice to speak about the challenges she faced during and after Everybody Loves Raymond. From hiding pregnancies to staying sober to handling public criticism, she has shown strength and honesty. She talks openly about how the support of her co-stars, especially Peter Boyle and Doris Roberts, helped her through difficult times. Her memories of the show are full of love, gratitude, and pride. Looking back, it's clear that Everybody Loves Raymond was more than just a comedy. It was a look at family life with all its ups and downs. It made people laugh, but it also made them feel seen and understood. Behind the scenes, the cast faced personal struggles, professional challenges, and moments of real emotion. They created something special that has lasted for decades and now. With Patricia Heaton finally opening up about her time on the show, fans can appreciate it even more. Her story reminds us that behind every great show are real people with real stories, and sometimes those stories are even more powerful than what we see on screen. Patricia Heaton's emotional connection and the real life behind the scenes. When Everybody Loves Raymond first aired in 1996, viewers quickly connected with its honest and funny look at family life. At the center of the story was Debra Barone, played by Patricia Heaton. She was the smart, strong, and sometimes frustrated wife of Ray Romano, trying to balance being a mother, a wife, and a daughter-in-law while keeping her sanity. Patricia Heaton's performance was so real and touching that millions of people felt like they knew her personally. But what fans didn't see was how deeply Patricia became connected to the show and the people she worked with. After spending nearly a decade playing Debra, saying goodbye to the character and the team wasn't easy. In fact, during the final rehearsal for the last episode, Patricia became so emotional that she cried uncontrollably and lost her voice. The production team had to delay filming the finale because she literally couldn't speak. This wasn't just a TV show for her. It was a second home. In interviews since then, Patricia has opened up about how hard that moment was. She said it felt like the end of a chapter in her life, one filled with laughter, love, and unforgettable memories. Behind the camera, Everybody Loves Raymond was also deeply personal for Ray Romano, the creator and star of the show. Much of the material came straight from his own life. Ray's real brother, Rich Romano, was a New York police officer, just like the character Robert in the show, played by Brad Garrett. While that detail added authenticity to the series, it also created some problems. Rich's fellow officers would often tease him about things they saw on the show. One funny but awkward example is that Rich was known for borrowing items from other officers. That habit was turned into a running joke in one of the episodes, and once it aired, Rich became the subject of even more teasing at work. Ray admitted in an interview that although he enjoyed using personal experiences to shape the show, he sometimes worried that it embarrassed his family. Still, that honesty and willingness to draw from real life helped make the series feel genuine. Fans appreciated that the show wasn't about silly gimmicks, it was about real people facing everyday problems in funny, touching ways. The show's humor came from situations everyone could relate to, dealing with in-laws, raising kids, arguing with your spouse, and trying to keep peace in a loud, nosy family. Another example of how real-life stories helped shape the show was seen in the character Robert Barone, played by Brad Garrett. Robert was Ray's older brother in the series, a tall and slightly awkward man with a deep voice and a good heart. He quickly became a fan favorite, and his moments of clumsiness and emotional honesty made him one of the most lovable characters on the show. Because of his popularity, the show's creator Phil Rosenthal came up with an idea for a spin-off series focused just on Robert. The plan was for Robert to move to Philadelphia and start a new life as a gym teacher. This fresh setting would allow viewers to see Robert in a different light, away from the shadow of his younger brother and his overbearing parents. CBS actually liked the idea and showed interest. However, behind-the-scenes discussions over money and other contract details eventually stopped the project from moving forward. The spin-off never happened, but it remains a favorite what-if idea among fans. Many believe that Brad Garrett's charm and comedic timing could have easily carried his own show. Throughout the original series, the cast became like a real family. They spent years working together, laughing together, and supporting one another through life's ups and downs. This bond was especially strong for Patricia Heaton. Playing Debra meant a lot to her, because the character represented so many women who do so much for their families but rarely get the credit. Debra often cooked, cleaned, cared for the kids, and still had to put up with her in-laws barging into her house without warning. Patricia once said in an interview that Debra's struggles were very similar to her own. She felt that the character spoke to a generation of women who felt exhausted, unappreciated, and pulled in too many directions. Her performance earned her several awards, including 2 Emmy wins in 2000 and 2001 for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series. Even after the show ended, people would stop her on the street to thank her for bringing Debra to life. Ray's breakthrough, cast changes, and show production style. Ray Romano didn't always dream of being a TV star. Before Everybody Loves Raymond, he was just a hard-working stand-up comedian trying to make people laugh in small clubs while working odd jobs to pay the bills. One of those jobs involved delivering furniture, which is funny to think about now. Since he ended up being one of the biggest sitcom stars of the 2000s, for over 10 years, Ray performed comedy that focused on family life stories about being a husband, a dad, and a son who never quite escaped his parents' control. His big break came when he appeared on The Late Show with David Letterman. His performance impressed the producers, and David Letterman himself offered to produce a sitcom starring Ray. That one appearance changed Ray's life forever. With the help of Letterman's production company, Everybody Loves Raymond was born. Interestingly, the show's title came from a comment made by Ray's real-life brother, who joked after Ray won a cable award. "Well, I guess everybody loves Raymond." That joke ended up becoming one of the most famous sitcom titles of all time. The production of the show followed a strict schedule every week. On Mondays, the cast would gather for script readings and early rehearsals. Tuesday was used for more rehearsals, while the writers rewrote parts of the script based on what worked and what didn't. Wednesday was set aside for CBS executives to watch a rough run-through. Thursday was when the technical crew came in to plan lighting, camera angles, and blocking. Finally, Friday was the big day they would film the episode. In front of a live audience, this routine allowed the team to polish each episode until it was just right. One thing that made Everybody Loves Raymond different from other sitcoms was how closely the writers stuck to the script. Phil Rosenthal, the show's creator, believed in solid writing and rarely allowed improvisation, while shows like Seinfeld often included improvised scenes and unexpected jokes. Everybody Loves Raymond was built around carefully written dialogue. The writers even had a bank of about 13 fully finished scripts ready before each season started filming. They wanted the show to be consistent and dependable. Another part of what made the show feel so special was its setting, the Barone house, which we all saw from the outside. It was a real house located at 135 Margaret Boulevard in Merrick, New York. It sat right across from the house used as Frank and Marie's home at 136 Margaret Boulevard. That physical closeness mirrored the emotional closeness of the Barone family, sometimes a little too close for comfort. Having in-laws living just across the street was one of the main sources of comedy in the show. But that situation also reflected real life. Many viewers saw their own families in those characters. Mothers who couldn't stop giving advice, fathers who grumbled about everything, brothers who felt left out, and wives who tried to hold everything together. It was all there. That's why the show was more than just funny. It was honest. Over time, other cast stories added richness to the series. One of them involved Maggie Wheeler, who played Linda, a friend of the Barones. What many people don't know is that Maggie originally auditioned for the role of Debra. The network liked her, but felt she wasn't quite right for the part. Still, they appreciated her talent and offered her a smaller role, which she gladly accepted. Her character appeared in a few episodes and was well received by fans. Another unforgettable cast member was Doris Roberts, who played Marie Barone, Ray's overprotective and opinionated mother. Doris had a long acting career and won 5 Emmy Awards. She passed away in 2016 at the age of 90, leaving behind a legacy of strong performances and a reputation as one of the most talented comedic actresses of her time. The role of Marie became iconic, and Doris's chemistry with Peter Boyle, who played Frank, created some of the show's funniest moments. When Doris passed, the entire cast expressed their deep sadness. She wasn't just Marish, she was a big part of what made the show great. Another aspect that set Everybody Loves Raymond, apart from other sitcoms, was its decision to focus on adult themes. Many sitcoms at the time revolved around young people, or children. But this show chose to tell stories about marriage, parenting, and aging parents. The children in the show were rarely the focus. Ray Romano once joked, "I already get upstaged by toddlers at home. I don't want it happening at work too." The heart of the show was the relationship between Ray, Debra, and the rest of the Barone family. The writers believed that keeping the spotlight on the adults would create richer, more meaningful stories, and they were right. Viewers of all ages found something to relate to. Whether it was Debra trying to carve out a little piece for herself, or Ray trying to avoid conflict while keeping everyone happy, the show captured real-life challenges with humor and heart. When Everybody Loves Raymond ended in 2005, it left behind more than just fond memories. It left behind a legacy. The show ran for 9 seasons and won 15 Primetime Emmy Awards. Was even ranked number 60 on TV Guide's list of the greatest shows of all time. But its story didn't stop with the final episode. Soon after the series ended, reruns began, airing across the country. In December 1998, WPIX in New York and KTLA in Los Angeles bought syndication rights for the show. Later, cable network TBS picked up the series and ran it for several years. From 2004 to 2021, it continued to reach new audiences on TV Land. In Canada, it aired on channels like CMT and Deja Vu. In the UK, it became part of Channel 4's morning schedule, airing 2 episodes back-to-back from 8 o'clock to 9 a.m. As of 2024, it still holds that time slot. In Australia, fans could watch it on Foxtel and other networks like Comedy Central and 10 Peach. It even reached viewers in India through the Ramdi Now channel. The show truly became a global success. Along with syndication, the series was released. On DVD, HBO released full box sets for regions 1, 2, and 4. In Australia, the full series came out in 2008, and earlier seasons were even released on VHS in North America. A few special episodes, like Marie's Sculpture, didn't air in some countries, but were later included in DVD sets, giving fans access to every piece of the story. Before being pulled from Netflix in 2016, Everybody Loves Raymond was also available for streaming, allowing a new generation to fall in love with it. Today, it's still watched by millions through digital platforms and reruns. It's a reminder that great storytelling never really gets old. After the series ended, Patricia Heaton didn't slow down. She returned to television in 2009 as Frankie. Heck in the Middle, another family-based sitcom that ran for 9 years. She again played a mother trying to hold her family together, this time in a lower-income Midwestern setting. Fans appreciated how real and lovable Patricia made her characters. In 2019, she starred in Carol's Second Act, a comedy about a woman starting over later in life. Outside of acting, Patricia has written books and become involved in causes she cares deeply about, including charity work and women's rights. Still, she has always looked back on Everybody Loves Raymond as One of the most meaningful experiences of her life, the tears she shed during the final rehearsal were not just from sadness. They were tears of love, gratitude, and the realization that something truly special was ending. Today, as fans rewatch episodes and share memories online, Patricia Heaton continues to be remembered not just as Debra Barone, but as the heart of a show that helped define a generation of television. Her performance, along with the unforgettable cast and relatable stories, made Everybody Loves Raymond a timeless classic. From the awkward family dinners to the sarcastic jokes and the heartfelt moments of connection, the show captured what it means to be part of a family, even one that drives you a little crazy. Emotional memories, fans understand just how much the show meant to the people who made it. It wasn't just a job, it was family. As we reach the end of Tony Danza's story, one thing becomes clear: his journey was never about chasing perfection or fame. It was about staying real, staying grounded, and holding on to what truly matters. From the boxing ring to the bright lights of Hollywood, Tony experienced it all. He made people laugh, cry, and feel connected. Even when rumors swirled, when people questioned his choices, or when the spotlight dimmed, and Danza never lost sight of who he was at heart, a man who believed in kindness, hard work, and doing things the right way. The rumors people once whispered about his health, his career, or whether he had quietly walked away from Hollywood may have caused concern. But Tony, at 77, chose not to let those stories define him. Instead, he faced them head-on, with the same grace and humor he's always had, confirmed the truth in his own words, in his own time. And with a gentle reminder that not everything needs to be flashy or loud, sometimes the strongest voice is the calmest one in the room. In recent years, Tony has chosen a life that's more peaceful and private. He still performs, still sings, still gives back to his community, and still connects with fans. But his focus has shifted toward the simple joys: teaching students, spending time with loved ones, and cherishing the quiet moments that used to pass him by when life was always on the go. He hasn't vanished from the world, he's just living it on his terms now. What's truly inspiring about Tony Danza's story isn't just his success, but his honesty. He didn't pretend to have it all figured out. He stumbled, he learned, and he grew. Stayed loyal to his values and to the people who supported him. He proved that a person's worth isn't measured by how long they stay in the spotlight, but by the way they carry themselves, especially when no one's watching. 4. Longtime fans who grew up watching Taxi or Who's the Boss? Tony Danza will always be a familiar face and a comforting voice. But more than that, he's become a symbol of resilience, grace, and humility. He reminds us that aging doesn't mean fading away. It means evolving, letting go of what longer matters and holding on to what does so. As Tony Danza closes this chapter of his public life, he leaves behind more than just great performances. He leaves behind a legacy of truth, integrity, and heart. And in the end, that's what people will remember the most. Not just the actor, or the singer, or the boxer, but the man who lived with purpose and made people feel seen. That truly is Tony Danza's greatest role.